And we're on. Afreen, how
Hi,
you doing?
hi, Brendan. Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks for coming on. I know a little last minute there, but we've been
That's okay.
talking about all these bunch of events, and I mean, there's so much going on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's really good to have a little breather now.
Yeah, finally, thank God. So let me just give you a little introduction. I was thinking about this while I was working out. So
Mhm.
Afreen Ahmed, and Odontogal on Instagram for everyone that's listening and can find her. And I just wanted to shout you out. I mean, absolutely tremendous story. We've been friends for some years now. I met you on that ASDA. I think it was the District 2 meeting. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, upstate. But you just had such a roller coaster of a story, but it's so important. And we've been talking about this. How, I mean, and I want you to guide the ship here, but I feel like there were a couple points here through your journey through dental school, most specifically, where I feel like your light wasn't shining as bright as it could and as it should. And I feel like you're back finally. You've taken the courage that I want you to tell a little bit about some of the events that you've just overcame and literally powered through some of them, and you have conquered, you succeeded. And I think it's something that's truly inspirational to myself as we've been friends, but just I admire your journey and how far you come. So let's talk about where you're right now. You're in Dallas, right?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I recently moved to Dallas. It's going well. It's great. I just graduated from dental school this past May, so being on the other side feels wonderful. It absolutely is worth it, and I know everyone under the sun would tell me that, but it absolutely feels worth it at the end.
And you're working at an office right now. You're looking for jobs. What's exact? Just to give a little
Yeah.
more insight behind
So
that.
I actually just got licensed yesterday. Um,
Woo!
feels like a weight off my chest, but I will be working. I'll be working here at a practice. It's a corporate office. I'm really excited to be joining the team. I've met some of the dentists that have great mentorship. That's something I really valued throughout dental school, but also on the other side.
Of course, of course. And you're going to be doing general dentistry, right?
Yes, general dentistry.
Wonderful. And how far away are you living from the office that you're going to be working at?
It's a 30-minute commute. I think
Okay,
that's
not bad.
pretty fair. Yeah.
And so one office, multiple offices.
I've been fortunate. I'm going to be starting at one office, so it's a full-time position. I think it'll be really good to have some consistency, get my feet in the water, see what I really like in dentistry, where I can improve and what I can work on.
That's excellent. Yeah. So Monday through Friday, or you have to
Monday
work a
through
weekend?
Friday. Yeah.
Oh my
Full week.
goodness. One office, Monday through Friday. You know how rare I'm starting to hear that nowadays?
I know. I've heard. I definitely feel fortunate.
Like, that's crazy. How is it? Like, I remember being sold on this, like, you get to make the workday what you want it to be. You get to work whatever days
Hmm.
you want during the week. You can have your office if you want. And looking out there at the jobs, and it's like, it's not that hard to find. It's not that easy to find such a compatible schedule with all of our mindsets, you know?
Yeah, something has to give. And there's pros and cons. I've heard if people work at multiple offices, and the pro I think there is, from what I've heard, is being able to get various kinds of exposures, work with different dentists, pick up different skill sets. I think right now I value consistency, so it'll be nice.
And how'd you, yeah, oh, it's going to be great for you. That's excellent. How did you come across this job? What was your job search like?
Yeah, well, I think I've been so fortunate to have really great mentors in my life. And so initially, when Dallas started to creep up on the forefront, I started to reach out to people that I really looked up to, kind of putting feelers out there, asking, like, hey, I'm going to be a new grad. This is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm looking for. Do you have any recommendations? And so kind of just started the search that way. And, one connection led to another, had some conversations, and yeah, I started interviewing. And ultimately, I'm so glad that this is what I came across.
Yeah, yeah. And these mentors were from dental school, were from back home. Kind of where did you
Throughout.
come?
Yeah, no. Throughout, I've had some mentors from as early as undergrad. um, yeah, which ASDA is a wonderful resource. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where I met some of them. That's how we met. But
That's right. That's right.
yeah, I've
Where
had.
was undergrad, by the way?
Where was my undergrad? I went to Benedictine University. It's in the suburbs of Chicago.
Yes, Chicago. And you're originally from Chicago, right? That's your hometown.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I
Up
get
in
a
your
little bit
neck
of
of the woods.
everything. Yeah, checked
And
off
so,
the boxes.
yeah, did you ever consider going back to the Chicago area for work?
I did. I did. Um, I did consider residency opportunities in Chicago, and ultimately, I decided that Dallas was the move for me, which I'm very happy with. But I figured after dental school, if there was ever a time to try something out, it'd be now. Why not? And I have nothing to lose. And, I would say that's very atypical for me. I usually try to play it safe, but I think that Chicago is a great fallback option. If you will, it's a beautiful city, it's a beautiful place, and I have connections, but you really only grow when you put yourself out of your comfort zone.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So what's the new Afreen coming out of the comfort zone now? Like where did this, can we like backtrack a little bit, maybe see how the experiences and events through dental school kind of shaped your confidence, your courage, and ultimately where you are today, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an open book. I don't know if you have any questions you want to ask or what I guess I can talk
What
about.
would there? So there were a few memorable, I guess, experiences through dental school, right? What was kind of the first thing that really stands out to you?
Memorable. Is this positive, negative? Do we have a direction or just anything?
Just anything. I want to let you guide the ship. I don't want to kind of dig too deep into something that's uncomfortable, but I do find that you're overcoming these obstacles were outstanding, and very courageous.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think back often to the younger version of Afreen, the Afreen that started off dental school. And I think we all, I don't know if this is applicable to you or if it resonates, but you start off dental school and you have all this confidence in the world and you're so excited to get through it and about the journey ahead. And then, you get humbled here and there. And I think I definitely had my share of moments where I had imposter syndrome. I questioned why I was doing what I was doing. And probably the peak of that, or maybe I guess the lowest point I had dental school wise was, as you may be aware, I was dismissed at one point, hopefully. And I remember that was probably a turning point for me. It was, I really had to ask myself and question my purpose. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I'm very fortunate that I was readmitted, that I still got to continue the path that I'm moving forward with. But I had to ask myself, like, at the end of the day, if it all gets taken away, which it did, then what? What's my purpose? Why am I doing this? And why does it matter to me so much? And I think that's when I probably started attempting to build what I think people always say, you need to have this unshakable conviction in yourself because, the world can tell you, you got this, you can do this, or you're always going to have naysayers here and there too. But if you don't believe it yourself, then what is it amounting to? And so I started questioning myself with that. And I think really holding on to that hope as I carried on through some of the years, the tougher ones, the really good ones throughout dental school. And what we're even subconsciously feeding our minds, I think, is so important. So something that I like to do is my phone screen, on my lock screen, I have this little reminder that says, remember why you started. And, it's cheesy. It's very, it's...
We're back.
Okay. Think it works now?
Riverside has been so excellent. And then the last two or so talks I've done, recordings, it stopped after 10 to 15 minutes. So I don't know. I pay for that program because they make really good recordings. But if there's recording, anyway, I'll spit.
Yeah, I hope it changed it.
Yeah, I don't know, I've emailed about them and they're like, you need a new laptop. And I'm like, I don't think this is how this works. Your program, you don't tell me to get a new laptop. I know I need one, but I can't afford one right now. But so I really do. No, I appreciate that you have the message on your background of your phone because sometimes we always have to remind ourselves it's in the quiet moments of the day. It's on the in between moments. It's not when it's hectic. It's like when you finally get a chance to breathe and you like catch your breath and your mind kind of resets and you notice that on the phone, that message, that image, that why. So this is something that people like on the outside can't see. On my work email, like we don't have to mention the institutions, right? But on my work email with the hospitals, I have the photo of my grandmother at my white coat ceremony. and
Mm.
she passed away 5 months before I graduated. But and
Right.
it was a week after that I found out where I matched to for oral surgery. And now I'm sure, like, to the other residents, to the faculty, it's like, why does he have an email with his grandmother on the? But you know what? It was a special moment for me. It was a special moment for her.
Mhm. Of course.
Last few moments where we were all together, that she could actually walk and stuff. And um,
Right.
just I'm sharing that, like, I really believe in reminding yourself, no one else has to know. No one else. You might even get made fun of for it, but as long as in your core you recognize and are reminded of that initial drive, that motivation, that connection that you had maybe with someone else or for a purpose, it's what keeps you going. You know what I mean?
No, thank you for sharing that. It's like it has to hold profound meaning to you, no one else, really.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I also just really believe that our minds are just so powerful. Like what we consume in our psyche is so powerful. What we consume even unknowingly. Those things they sit with us. The way we question what we see, how we think, how we formulate ideas, answers, logic our way out. Mhm. So
Absolutely.
sometimes I just look at my phone and I'm really just checking the time, but I see that in my background and I don't know that I'm seeing it. It exists.
Yeah, it's a part of you. It's that subconscious being that we have in our back, that our mind, and it's in the subconscious mind. That's what it is. And
Mhm.
a lot of things, like, they even say listening to podcast, or not podcasts, but like reading a book before you go to
Mhm.
bed at night, whatever you do right before you go to bed at night, sometimes trails into the dreams, and it can really be influential on your subconscious mind.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like that.
I'm sure we've had our share of exam material in our minds just before bed.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Oh, that's funny. So what
Mhm.
year was it where you were kind of dismissed from school, and then when you got reinstated?
It was right after my first year. So coincided perfectly with the pandemic. So definitely layers of difficulty, I think, across the board. We were entirely remote. And then I completed my first year, I'd begun my second year, and then the dismissal happened.
Oh,
So not only did that mean, I was readmitted and looped right back to where I started, I actually had to start from the beginning all over again.
so you had to repeat first year entirely.
Yes, I did.
And
So 5 years.
when you restarted, was that right where so when you restarted, was it right where D2 year would have started, or did you have to wait a whole year and then start again, and now you're back a year?
No, actually, no, it was right where the year was going on. So I was given my readmission letter, and then 3 days later, I had an exam. So
What a warm welcome.
absolutely, yep. It was you don't you don't get to control a lot of things. I think generally speaking, right? Like we have as much control as we can humanly put in our lives, but things happen. Things happen all the time, and I think we process it differently too. I think I'm able to speak about it so much more collected now and
Mhm.
on the others. And I've had some time. Everyone says time heals. It does, but in the moment, hearing that doesn't really help. And I think at the time, I was just so bitter and angry and going through it. And you have to allow yourself to have that too, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. In hindsight, I don't know if it's possible. Could there be any positives that you took from this immense setback? I mean, a year off, a year backwards, not even off, a year backwards. I guess were some of those courses you had. I'm trying to look at the bright side. I mean, that is just devastating. Your whole, just the like the confidence hit where it's like you're dismissed, and then coming back. I don't know. I can't imagine that. I really can't.
I mean, I never imagined it for myself. And I always say to myself, really, that I don't think I ever look back at that experience and feel thankful that it happened, but it happened. And throughout the next 4 years of dental school, there was always this little voice in the back of my mind, I think, that was like, but what if this is it? But what if this is the end? And I think that that was really difficult. And even that's an understatement to have an experience. But at the same time, it also felt like, it gave me more purpose. Like I'm almost working to to dismiss those notions. I'm working, when I was dismissed, I was told students like you don't make it here. And every time I studied, it was like, no, I've earned my seat here. Let me prove that to myself. Let me prove that. And so in ways, maybe that's something I can say was a positive that I drew. But yeah.
You were such a confident, bright person, right? Just eliminating all lib, confident, bright person. What were the kind of things that they were pointing their fingers at, if you will, right? Like pointing the finger. What were they saying that you don't belong here, or whatever it might be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just remember in the moment, the dismissal happened over a Zoom call, actually. And it took me by surprise, absolutely. But I wish that I had some clarity to that as well. I remember questioning, asking, I don't understand. I think I've never had um, any issues with behavior in dental school after your first year, especially. I mean, you're not seeing patients, it's all pre-clinic. Academically, I was in a pretty decent place. So I wish I knew, I wish I had some clarity, but I do know that the readmission was on the basis of discrimination. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I wish I had answers and I could go back and say, this is exactly why, but all I was given is students like you don't make it here. And that line stuck with me throughout all of it, throughout the entire journey. And I think by the end, it felt like, on graduation day, it was emotional. It felt like, no, students like me do.
That's right. Stick it to the man, they say. That's the quote. Right? And you literally did. You brought it to them. You graduated, and now you're going to be a practicing dentist in what, a week? Well,
Just I start in July, July 1st.
amazing, amazing, and this all new confidence. So, like, you have such beautiful hair. You haven't been showing it off for all these years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of changes, right? And we embrace them. We take them in as they come.
I know we were kind of talking about this. If this is a topic you can touch on, um, what kind of like brought out the courage, or even like the willingness to kind of take the step to stray from previous norms? Because sometimes we get very comfortable with certain things, and sometimes we want to break out. We want to be more of ourselves, finding ourselves or developing ourselves. What kind of road was that for you, and what's kind of the thought process? I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit more abstract, but I'll try and explain. I think for me, it kind of comes from this place of I get to define myself. No one else gets to do that for me. And, I think back to certain moments in my life where I've maybe done things because it's the right thing societally, or I've done things, even behaviorally, and I've conformed. And I think when you have such low points and you have, lower times and darker thoughts, as we did in dental school, I think it touches all different ways. Right. You go back to that why. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, who am I really? And I think coming back out of my shell in those moments, having that why to grip onto was so important. And it just made me question, like, if I were to make a decision that in my eyes were harmless in any way, in my eyes that felt more me or felt comfortable to me, then does it matter if, I have naysayers along the way, if I lose things along the way? I've dealt with loss. We all have dealt with various levels of grief, I think, in moments. And I think having that conviction in myself was important, but it also just powered and fed into, this is who I am, this is where I am right now, and nothing is set in stone, nothing is permanent. So I can always make any decision I want at the end of the day.
Like that, the independence, freedom.
It's definitely humanizing. That's the best way I could put it.
Well, I like that too. Yeah. Yeah. Were all these darkest times with just dental school?
I think, we have a life outside of just school. I wish that I could say it was just dental school, but I've had my share of personal challenges, relationships. I went through a whole divorce in my last year of dental school, and that was admittedly really tough. And there were times where you have to segregate, I think, in your mind and extrapolate, like, this is what's important to me. I couldn't, as much as I wanted to just lay and lament in bed and crawl under the covers and hide away from people, I couldn't do that because I still had to show up as a provider. I still had patients and people counting on me. And I think that's not just dental school, that's life. Like, as much as you want to give up, sometimes you have to keep going. And I can't fully take credit for that myself. I've had an incredible support system. I've had friends that, we would joke about, like, hey, I'm not graduating without you. If I have to pull you across the stage by your ear, I'll do it. And it makes for a laugh, but
No, but that's
that
so
helps.
amazing. And your family too, supportive the whole way between school, going back to school, and through this, my God, a divorce. You're so young and everything. I guess in hindsight, right? Better the situation you're in now, better to be humanized and doing yourself rather than getting caught up in all these distractions and all these things that pulled you back, right? And you have your friends and your family to pull you forward. How was your family through all this?
Incredibly supportive. They were miles and miles away, but I talk to my mom every day, and I think that that's really helped me get through dental school as well. I'm grateful. I know that that's a blessing.
Yeah, and sometimes with the relationships, I know my parents just finished their divorce. It was 3.5 years that they were going through that, and not.
Mhm.
I guess I talk about it much, not too much on podcasts, but I can't imagine you get into a relationship, you settle down, married, everything, and then whatever comes to be, whatever happens, and then it's like I got to get out. That's it. Everything's all everything's off, and then leaving. It's just and then so during dental school, I can't. There's so conflicting. I mean, you have the stress of dental school, right? You have the support system of your friends and family, your mentors, but then this whole other monster going on outside of that in personal life. How did you kind of keep your focus through school? You know what I mean? Because then, like you were saying before, where is this it? And this is dental school alone. Oh, is this going to be it? Oh, is this going to be the last month, the last day? Are they going to call me out again and like do this big
Mhm.
fiasco? And that's going to be it. And now, on top of all that, that walking on eggshells. Now those
Mhm.
eggshells are even smaller, but it's like sand because now a relationship might be dissolving outside of that. How did you come and like keep yourself like what did you go to your mental headspace? You know what I mean?
No, it was difficult. I won't sugarcoat that. And I think it just went back to the same thing. In so many of those moments, I was reminded of the dismissal, because in ways it's grief, and grief comes in waves. And I think I reminded myself that everything can be taken away at any point, anything, right? But if I know who I am, and if I know my own purpose, and I work hard toward that, at the end of the day, the only thing we can do is try to be good people. And it I can't say that I always felt like I was doing the right thing in dental school. I can't say that I felt like I was doing the right thing walking away from a relationship, from a marriage, something that was so important to me.
Right.
And I think it really boiled down to, like, who am I? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And going back to that purpose, that sense of self, that was really, really important. And then also, I guess, if you sprinkle in there, I belong here. I've earned my seat here. And I can't let anyone else have that power. I can't let a relationship have that power. I can't let, administration, I can't let anyone else have that power and take that away, because then that's giving away parts of me and I've lost too much of myself. And everything else is already chipping away. So I might as well hold on to that one thing that I do have, and that's me.
I love that. I love that. And when you step away, what's kind of something you spend time for yourself? Do you go for walks? Do you listen to music? Do you cook? What's kind of your thing? I know working out we've talked about in the past.
Actually, all of the above. I think I lived in New York City, and it was amazing. There's always something to do in New York City. Sometimes it was as simple as just being able to grab a friend and say, "Hey, do you want to go on a Target run with me?" And we'd go pick up like hand soap and and
Yeah.
maybe bubble tea or something, and that's all it took.
It's so funny. I do that all the time. Literally the Target run 2 blocks away,
Yeah,
and I do
exactly.
that. Yep. The
It's like
lemonade.
productivity, but you're having fun while you're doing it.
Right, and it gets like your mental headspace out of the grind every day,
Yeah.
studying, the work, going back to the sim lab, seeing the
Yeah.
patients. Oh my God, and studying the late nights.
Lots of those, yeah.
What's
I
your
mean,
what's your favorite workout to kind of really get into it? Get into the workout, leave the world behind for a few minutes.
I love just putting in my AirPods and going on a good run. I think it's just there's something about it that's so thrilling. It's like you can block out the noise, you just keep going. You have complete control over where you're going, what you're doing. I mean, if you're on a treadmill, I guess you're on a treadmill, but if you're running the streets, it's all you. And I love that. It's like you're in the zone.
You prefer treadmill, or I know the run over here
Outside.
outside East River Park. Which one?
I love the outdoors. I say treadmill because no one's running out here in Dallas.
Oh, true. How hot is it over there right now, actually?
Yeah, it's mid 90s. It's definitely quite sunny, but I'm loving it. I think I thrive in the sun.
Mid-90s, that's hot. Is it humid too? Is it like sticky?
Not sticky. It's dry heat mostly. It's like thick air, but I'm not, I don't think I'm frizzing or anything right now.
No, no, no. Okay, that's good. Because I don't know. I like the idea of Texas. Their economy's booming. Everyone's moving to Texas. I have a bunch of friends
Yeah.
that be down there, and it's like, where are you
Really?
going?
In dentistry. I mean, it is so growing. The community here is great. I'm really enjoying that, meeting the people, and driving is something I'm acclimating to after living in New York.
True, true. But you would drive in Chicago, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. I drove to college, so it's like riding a bike. You don't forget the skill, but I'm a little rusty and I'm picking it up again.
Yeah, yeah. What car you?
I have a Toyota. Something
Nice.
reliable. Camry, yep. She's safe, she's reliable, she's there for me when I need.
Awesome, awesome. Good stuff. So just a few more questions just to see you the
Yeah.
day to day. Are you a morning person or a late night person?
Ooh, that's tough. I joke about being a hybrid. But I do love the mornings. I think once the darkness hits, once the nighttime gets there, I feel a decline in my productivity
Right,
and
right.
maybe energy levels too. That's natural.
That's true. That's true. Kind of like, what time is it there now? Is it 8?
I'm an hour behind you, so it's 9:07.
So it is 9:07.
Yeah.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. What's something in hindsight that, whether it be the school, whether it be relationship stuff, whether it be studying, whether it be moving between Chicago, college, New York City for dental school, back to New York City for dental school, down to Dallas, what's just something in hindsight that you wish you would have done a little differently?
Done a little differently. I'm actually gonna say something that sounds a little contrary to what you're asking. But I don't
Sure.
know that I can say that I would have done anything differently. And
Oh,
I say that because life happens, but and everyone says this too, how you react to situations is far more important. So life happened. I made mistakes, some really stupid ones, some harmless ones, but I don't know that I can go back and say, I wish I had done this differently because it happened and I've learned. And I think I'm still continuing to learn.
I like that a lot. And now going for, you're bringing all the lessons and experiences with you forward. What's something you would either tell someone who's listening to this right now, who admires you, looks up to you, and has to conquer their challenges that they're about to face or are going through right now, this very moment? What would you tell them?
I think it's the same sentiment I've been echoing this whole time, but you have to have conviction in yourself. And it doesn't matter if anyone else does, you have to believe in yourself. Even if every single person around you does it. I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's so important. I love that. Excellent. And what was the quote one more time on your phone in the background?
Remember why you started.
Love it. Love it. We'll end it there. Afreen, thank you so much for coming on today. We'll touch
Thank you.
base again. And congrats. So you got your licensed in Texas. You're about to start.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, we'll be in touch. I'll fill you in on what working life is like on the other side.
Yes. Yes. Uh-oh. All right. And stay cool out there in the hot Dallas weather.
Oh, I will. I will. You too in the humid New York City summers.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. All right, take care. Bye, Brendan. Have a good night.
Good night.